my channel, my shitty stream, share, copy, and send to Mike. All right, that should do it. That should do it. All right, you should be with us in a sec. There you are, mate. Can you see the link to the stream? Can you hear me all right? I'm on the iPad, so it should be as simple as click that. So I'm just highlighting the address bar there, mate, hitting copy, and then I just paste the link in the comments. And it should be as simple as hit that. Is it there now, mate? Should be. I had one up there before you popped on, and I've just put another there. Is that working, mate? That link should be there for you. There you are. Add to stream.
Hey, appreciate it, man.
Mate.
Sorry about that.
You're right.
Might see, I'm still working with trying to figure out, as they say, these young kids' apps like StreamYard. And done it live because I'm sitting there just looking at everything going, where the fuck it, trying not to curse, like going through you know, it felt like that typical dad just sitting here looking at all the settings, like where the hell is this instruction at? It's supposed to be right fucking.
I'm the same, Mike. Trust me. In fact, it was you that said to me the other week, "Oh, come on, Mel," and I said, "No, mate, really, I don't know. I'm a computer idiot. Anything I know how to do on a computer, I can teach anyone in 5 minutes. It's like an ATM. Once you're shown once, you know. I don't know
it just registers, you know.
Yeah.
It registers with our generation like that. Interestingly enough, I've been talking to a lot of older people, and it just doesn't. Like, for instance, I took over the social media account for my church, right?
Yep.
And the first response I got was they loved it, but they were like, is there a way that you can make the font just a little bit more bigger because some of us are having a hard time reading it?
Yeah.
I think I could do that for you.
Well,
they're like, try to limit the effects so that we can read what it says.
I know what you're saying, Mike, because my dad, you know, he's not an absolute moron but I can't teach him how to respond to a text. In 2021, here's a text me. You can open it and read it, but I can't. It's beyond you how to type and send it back.
Yeah,
I could teach
amazing. Like they got the
deaf and dumb person that I would have thought.
We got like the phones right now with the giant keypads, and I think right now. Hold on 1 second. Hold on, I gotta show you this. Check it out. So it's 5:20 in the morning.
Oh shit!
And they're going on and on about this. This is Rebel News live here in Oklahoma.
Oh, they're still showing that, are they? Fucking hell! Like that's a week old at this point, isn't it?
Yeah. But my thing is that's the whole point. Is I don't know if you got a chance to peep that community episode. I was asking if you got a chance to watch it.
I did start watching that when my brother rang, so I haven't finished watching it, but I did start watching it. Yeah.
It's something. We got somebody in.
Yeah, we've got. It says 2 viewers. We did just have 3.
Wade, what's up?
Yep.
Cool. And that's the whole thing. Like, I can't emphasize enough because I see people everywhere, and this is coming from somebody who, although I did not graduate from college, the course I was taking was for a bachelor's in culture and anthropology, which you have to take psychological courses and everything else as opposed to this course curriculum. And I'm seeing such a wide margin of people in all walks of life. And although, yes, like me and my wife were talking about it after mine and your private conversation we had last night, you know?
Yep.
And although, yes, as a Christian, I got to learn, especially as one on the caliber that I'm learning to be.
Yep.
to reword some stuff. But this is beyond, to me personally, this is a matter of human beings and the social standing. I don't care what faith you are anymore. I don't care what walk of life you are anymore. The
Good.
point is, if you're a citizen of your country, do you care about the future of the children that's around the community that you're in?
Well, that should be the most basic level that you can get everyone's attention on. Surely everyone cares about their kids' well-being, you would
Like,
think.
we all, right? Like, we're in a situation where it's like, I believe, even if I don't agree religiously with people's lifestyle choices, I agree that as a citizen of their country, they should be allowed to love whoever they want to love. With that said, just like boundaries need to be put in place, like these LGBT people that want to say, we're just expressing ourselves in this. This is very perverse actions that they've done. And how would they feel if me and my wife were to go out in public, dress in the same type of outfits, booty pop each other, and do the same type of stuff? Would it be the same? Let's everybody hold hands and sing "Kumbaya," or would it be outrage?
Oh, fuck! I'm sure it. I'm sure it's very easily separated and used against one while it's praised for another. These people can't stick to anything. They can't take a position and stick to it. They're
Mm-hmm.
forever compromising. Like, mate, again, that's the thing that gets me. It's very, very easy to find people that are pro-choice.
Yes.
And these same pro-choice people want to call me a selfish bastard if I don't want the vaccine. I
Right.
mean, it's just too bizarre for words. How do both those thoughts go round your head at the same time without causing an explosion? I,
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand it, but that's where we're at.
We're really, it's right now. I told Jessica about 2 nights ago, and for everybody, like, Mal's actually lucky enough to have got to know my wife as a friend as well.
Yep.
But me and her were talking the other night, and I looked at her and I said, no, it was actually the other day. And I looked at her, I said, you know what? I got done doing some news reports on my blog, and I said, right now, this is literally Freud's wet dream if he was alive. You know what I
Who?
mean?
Sorry.
Freud's.
Oh yeah, yeah.
This is literally his wet dream. What's going on right now? These people that said that all these fetishes and stuff like that, they would be having a field day right now. A lot of people don't realize this. BLM and a lot of these other groups have gone on and on about eugenics, right? Eugenics
Yep.
isn't nothing new. In fact, one of the most sadistic doctors in world history, Dr. Death, aka Mengele, was very fond of eugenics back in the 40s and 30s.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Which led to some of the most bizarre experiments in human history, such as stitching people together by 6 people in a row.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Taking their eyeballs out and putting new eyeballs in. Like, eugenics is nothing new. So why is people out here 20 years old saying we need to start stepping up eugenics again? Why are these liberal scientists graduating from colleges right now across the West Coast and East Coast going on and on about how, well, in my core study, we went over eugenics, this and that. Eugenics was deemed by the United Nations as cruel and unnecessary medical treatment. So why is it reemerging?
Right. I wonder that about a lot of things. Like I just said to you, it's puzzling to me that people can make such blatant hypocrites of themselves, and they
Right.
don't even realize it. Like it's like you got to sit them down and explain, hey, you can't contradict yourself like this and be taken seriously, and yet
Mm-hmm.
they don't seem to get it. I'm
They
like
don't.
some old decrepit person in their minds. Oh no,
Mm-hmm.
here, let me explain to you. And then when you say, hey, no, that's wrong because here, what about apply that to this example? That's wrong because, hey, if I was to do that, then they go, oh, but ultimately they walk away thinking I'm the strange one, I'm weird, and that they're right.
It's
And
ironic. It's ironic. I love that. I love that what you just said, because it reminds me of Mike Warnke. Even though he's like an exposed whatever fraud, but at the time he was an '80s Christian comedian, and he said, "For all you gray-haired people back here in the back row of the church, wondering, oh my God, where did this long-haired, bright color wearing guy come from?" He goes, "I'm one of you. I've been ordained for this many years. I just don't look like you." You know what I mean?
And until he declares that he's some sort of enemy or suspicious guy, or we better watch him, and then he tells you, hey, no, you're wrong because, and people go,
Right.
oh. But
Yes.
then they still judge the next person that has too many tattoos and long hair. You know, they're very weird.
I told my mom one time because she's from. That's a very Baptist view, to be, and we find it funny because me and my wife were talking about this because it was brought up about tattoos and stuff, right? Because in the Bible, if you go by the Old Testament laws, a lot of it is in
Desecrating.
Deuteronomy. Tattoos are simple because it says you're not supposed to mark. But if you read farther into the text and you get into theology, you start to learn that once Yahshua came into place, you're able to be forgiven of those type of sins. That was the whole point of him coming. So what's going on is people over the course of time and years have taken the parts of the Bible that they like, that they feel like you should live by, and said this is how you should be. Like, let's be honest about something. Back in that time period, they didn't have women's pants. They didn't have men's pants. In fact, the men wore robes, like the shiki robes, and the women often wore a skimpier, kind of thinner version of a robe.
Yep.
If not fully covered. Do you get what I'm saying? So, how is it that you're going to try to say, oh, you can't dress like this because that's sinful? When in fact, these style of clothes, the only way it would be sinful. Now, I could get the aspect of if a dude is wearing a pair of panties that's clearly cut for a female design. Yes, I get that aspect. But there's also a whole line of men's lingerie too that people don't talk about. My point being, who's this? At what point does it become sinful? There's a lot of gray areas here that people try to fit into their lifestyle. And the one thing I can't stand is these gray areas are the reason why I left the church in the first place years ago before I came back, because I saw a lot of hypocrites. I saw them saying one thing and living another way. I was like, why? You know what I mean? Why don't you just be honest?
Well, Mike,
You know what I mean?
fucking thank you, mate. Jesus Christ. I
You
mean,
know?
how hard is it? Really?
Right. I was like, just be honest about it. You know, I find solace in the fact that the way I look at it, even Paul said, ran to the feet of Jesus in tears and said, I am not worthy. I'm not worthy of being saved like you. I'm not worthy of being even looked at as similar to you.
So you understand now. You know I'm not a religious person, and frankly, the shit annoys me. But you understand that just by him acknowledging that, that's what makes him worthy. That's the moral of the story.
Bingo. See, one of the hardest things as us, I've been thinking a lot about this. One of the hardest things about us as men is I'm going to hit a lot of hard areas here, because they're hard areas I've had to overcome mentally. But we're brought up in a society to where we're supposed to be conquering everything. We're not supposed to have emotion. We're supposed to be conquering everything. We're supposed to be level-headed, clear-headed at all times. You know what I mean? We're supposed to be the rulers of our kingdom. Well, there's a problem in that.
You're not kidding.
Because here's the thing. Like, let me give you another example real quick. Relationships. A lot of men feel like they're supposed to rule their household by all means necessary. Their woman is to be silent, seen, and not heard. Right? Now, that's a very old school philosophy to have. Very few men can pull that off nowadays. You know what I mean? And needless to say, you shouldn't have to be anyways, because if you go by these
Exactly.
principles, I'm about to step on some Christians' toes here. Some people, not all. Just some things I've seen. Because how is it whenever, and it says a yoke, the yoke principle is the woman is your other half. Okay, once you get married, she becomes part of who you are.
Yep.
You are to treat her as you would treat your own body. Now, if you're supposed to treat her as your own body, are you going to sit there and tell me that you're going to control every aspect of your own body, whether you like it or not?
Yeah, well, see, fuck.
No, no man would.
No.
You get what I'm saying? So and that's why you see divorce rates, and that's why you see that power struggle. It's not supposed to be a power struggle. You're supposed to be communicating, because that's your other half. That's your partner. That's supposed to be the person that you go to about everything. That's your first phone call. You know what I mean? Do
So,
you get what
mate,
I'm saying?
that should lead very quickly into what I was going to say. I don't want some girl that I've got to raise and teach, and that's not what I want.
Right.
78. How are you, sir? You know, my mind doesn't work like that. Like you just said, an equal partner. If you don't respect the person, then what's the point in fucking doing it? I mean, I'm
You
sure
might as
some
well.
people.
It's like a slave mentality. You get what I'm saying, and that's why there's so many problems. That's why the LGBT winning. That's why the LGBT community seems to be winning and growing. Women are going, I don't need a man anymore. We got all these devices, and I could do this, and I could do that. You know what I mean?
Funny you
So
say
we
that,
could get
mate.
artificial plantation for a child. Like, you get what I'm saying? Why put myself through this? A lot of them, most lesbians I met, and I met a lot. Most of them have one thing in common: they've had a couple shitty relationships.
Yes.
Do you get what
And
I'm
I
saying?
understand. I get it. It's not to say I agree with it, mate, but here we've got 78.
Mm-hmm. There we
How
go.
are you,
And guys,
78?
before we get one more person out here, the reason for me going into that is the Taliban released a statement to the United Kingdom and to America saying, "Do not interfere with the way we do things, and do not speak on how we treat our women." Period. In a very threatening manner. The reason for that is they're very old school Muslim. You know what I mean? They believe in the old school Muslim laws, and that means that women, literally, it's not a joke to them. They cannot speak, or they will be killed.
78. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
There you are, mate. Well, here, I'll just say this. Dogs, as you know, Mike, are my favourite people. I mean, life wouldn't be worth living without dogs. I
Mm-hmm.
love dogs, just me. Muslims hate dogs.
Right?
They hate them. They're dirty, impure. So
They're
I
lower
don't
than
like
them.
Muslims. I have no respect for Muslims whatsoever. They
I
can
have
think what they
respect
want.
for some of them. I don't have respect for the extreme ones.
Yeah, well, hey, for as long as they're bowing down to some prophet Muhammad and fucking following it, if you don't like dogs, then I think there's something wrong with you. I
Right?
don't understand that sort of thing. I think it's wrong to kill things that are weaker than you. And,
Right.
I understand you've got to eat, but it's kind of like puppies. If you can look at a puppy and hate it, then what's wrong with you? I mean, look
Yes.
at babies and children, kids and stuff. Everyone likes puppies, and if you don't, there's something fucking wrong with you.
Well,
Um,
that's the whole point of what I'm getting at. Is it's almost like surreal. Like 78. I don't know if you could agree to this or not, but it's almost surreal that if you look at it from a historic standpoint, like it's almost like if you put all the armies in night outfits, it's almost like a reamp of old world stuff. Because see, back in the day, what led to the Salem witchcraft trials and what led to the other events like that was
was
all religious
fear.
wars, and it was all started by fear. You know what I
Well,
mean?
how about we have a little bit more fucking self knowledge, understanding, awareness? What happened to the only thing to fear is fear itself? These people obviously hadn't worked this out. If you're fucking fearful,
Mm-hmm.
but that's on you.
Well,
Stay away from whatever's making you fearful. But hate's different. And
mm-hmm.
I understand you can hate people. People can be fucking reprehensible creatures.
Oh yeah,
But
but
to
like,
start from dogs are nature, mate. You can't hate trees. I mean, you can't hate air.
mm-hmm.
I mean, really, it sounds silly, but that would be silly, wouldn't it? Well, I kind of think the same about dogs. You hate dogs? Why? What's wrong with you? Were you
It's
traumatized as a child by a dog? There's a problem with your mind,
right.
to my way of thinking.
And I'm about to say something else. We're going to go back into this Afghanistan thing. Further than that, the reason why Trump had that plan to get him out the way he did was it was the best executed wise plan. But The way Biden did was handle everything, and then they did ultimately. Our military did do what they're supposed to do. They broke protocol from what I understand, from what DoD told them they did, and actually did destroy the equipment on the way out, rendering them useless. So most of the equipment that they wanted was rendered useless. So
I
you
didn't
got to,
know that.
yeah. So these groups, like I told you, like last night, the hard realization that people don't understand is, realistically, yes, is it horrible that things are happening over there? Yes, it is. It's been horrible for centuries. But if you really look at it, the Taliban, ISIS, and all these other groups that's over there, including in Africa, and other Muslim stronghold countries, this is a religious war that's been going on for centuries over territory. So, to myself and my own sanity, I agree with most politicians, unless it affects Israel or somehow another country directly, they're not going to change. Like, this is amongst themselves over territory. It's been going on for centuries. That's the reason why ISIS released a statement recently on social media with a sword with blood on it, and they were speaking classic Muslim tongue. You know what I mean? And they were quoting I'm trying to remember his name. They were just saying it on the news this morning. They were quoting a Muslim warlord leader who once said, and this is back to the Vlad the Impaler days, by the way, who once said that they're here to conquer Christians because their swords have tasted Christian blood, and since then, nothing has been sweeter. You know what I mean? So you got to ask yourself, is this conflict going to end? No. You get what I'm saying? This is a century-old thing that's been going on since biblical day periods. Okay? This is a spiritual war as well as a physical war. And the spiritual aspect is the reason why nobody can grasp it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I just tend to go back to, yeah, and you're probably sick and tired of hearing me say this. I think the stupidity factor is too high. If someone's respecting your beliefs and you're not respecting theirs,
Yes.
can't you see the imbalance there? Like you're
Yes.
being so. So
But
what's
you
wrong
got
with
to
these
understand
people
that
who can't see?
you got to understand though, I got friends like this morning, before I even talked to you, my friend in Africa, me and her have talked, and there's events going on to where, like, okay, just take this event in Kabul, Africa, or Afghanistan alone. The whole church there was massacred, and the last child victim was saying, "We will not go down in fear. Our God is a righteous God." As they were mowed down, these kids on the footage was 4, 5, and 6 years old.
What a world we live in. Hey, 78, really? I mean, kids.
I see the footage that the media doesn't show, and that's the stuff when I talk to you now that I don't want to.
Mike, did you get up early or did you not go to bed yet?
Oh, I got up early. I normally actually do get up early.
Yeah, me too. I just woke up.
Oh,
Malice, what time is it over there, bro?
it's 20 to 9 p.m. Saturday night.
Yeah, it's like 6 a.m. here almost.
Oh, okay.
It's 5. Yeah, it's 5:40 where I'm at. 78.
Yeah, same.
You know, I tend to get up around anywhere between 3 and 5. Unfortunately, today I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, vomiting and
Oh,
some
my.
issues from a long-term sinus infection I've been dealing with for around a month and a half. You know,
Oh, sorry to hear. Those are a pain.
they are, and it's just when you go to sleep, you know, you get that mucus build up in your chest.
Oh, it's isn't it?
Sometimes it affects me to where I just end up getting sick in the morning, you know.
Yeah.
But that gives me a lot of time to look at all this stuff. And I don't know if you can agree, guys, to what I'm saying, but honestly, I do agree with the aspect of they're not going to change. And it's sorry to say that. Like, I believe in missionaries going over there that have the balls to do it. You know what I mean?
Go over where?
Over in the Middle East. But
Oh, okay, yeah.
but overall, this is a situation that they're not going to change. This is over. They're fighting over, for instance, they're fighting over buildings and land. You know what I mean?
So again, Mike, and again, look, I say this not to sound clever. I'm hoping you say you're wrong because, and I learned something, right?
Mhm.
If I've got a neighbour on this side fighting with a neighbour on that side, how much of their bullshit? Like, there's something called violent pacification. You either learn to be nice to each other, or I'm going to kill you before you kill each other. Now, I say that not in a literal sense, but hey, if that guy and that guy can't get along, and I've tried everything, how about I blow them both up and I get some peace? You see what I mean? I don't mean that literally, but
I
that's what.
so I Mal, and I get where you're coming from, and that's where you remind me of myself. And it sounds cliche to sound, brother. It does. It's gonna sound cliche as hell to a lot of people, but it's the truth as far as I'm concerned. You remind me of myself before I got on the path that I'm at now. Is I used to be that person. That's the reason why I'm blacklisted, I think, around the area where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like everybody's hiring, but I'm still having a hard time looking for work. So it's because I'm known to speak my mind. Like I'm the person that if I hear, even like when I was at Price Tower, if I heard that somebody was talking about me, I would go up to the person, even if it was a board member. Like I didn't care. Like I was always confrontational, but it never got me anywhere other than more anxiety, blood pressure, and frustration.
I understand, mate. I've been there myself. I've. That's why I was telling you this morning. There's no point me. If someone says hip hip hooray, congratulations, you've got this job. You're going to earn this much. I know as soon as I turn up, the clock's ticking.
Right.
Someone's going to say something, and I'm going to respond in kind, and they're going to complain. I
Yes.
mean, that's what happens.
But you have to learn, like in this ultra PC society, unfortunately, the way it is set up, and it sucks. It sucks. But the way that it's set up, the only way we're gonna make it is to blend in with the crowd.
Yeah,
You know,
well, you're right.
that's
Yeah.
the only way you're gonna make it because. And I'm not talking about on your personal streams. I'm not talking about on your personal shows. I'm talking about on the 9 to 5 gig. The only way you're gonna
Yes.
you got to blend in with the crowd, man, and that sucks.
Yeah, well, I find it
But
painful.
it is. It is. Like
Someone says something ridiculous and I can't point out how ridiculous it is. I've just got to go, yeah, okay. I mean, that hurts me.
it does. It's like George Carlin said. It's like George Carlin said, walk around with a pen and a pad and count the amount of stupid people you find, and the chances are you're going to have it filled up within an hour.
Of course, mate, really, really. And I'm saying this in a country that has 10% of your population, less than 10% of your population. I
Mm-hmm.
look at you guys, I can't even fathom how, when I say I'm surrounded by idiots, you should all burst out laughing and say you only have 25 million people in your country. We have 330 million people here.
How is it that in my country, there's literally other countries are saying we're no longer going to work with the United States because they cannot be trusted. And on top of that, for the past like couple months, they've been printing up like comic book strips and like newspapers and stuff, mocking our Marines and knocking our military wearing skirts and holding purses, and because that's what they're projecting on the big screen media. But you got to understand, that's only 10% of the squeaky greasy wheel, so to speak. The
Yeah.
rest of us don't feel that way.
Well, Mike, the part about that baffles me, because I always knew that. They can't all be idiots. There's a silent majority. Now, when I saw that election get stolen after 10 months of fucking riots in Democrat cities, you did allow them to get away with that.
Mm.
Now, I'm not blaming the American
They're
person.
still working on it. I try not to talk openly about it because you get labeled as a conspiracy Trump right wing crazy extremist.
Yeah.
But take for example this morning, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm looking at a Breitbart article on how they found like over 4,000 ballots, and some of these ballots that they could make out actually changes the state's outcome in favor of Trump.
And yet your Supreme Court doesn't want to look at it, they said. They don't care.
Because Biden has right now, the Democrats have control of both of the houses. That's why the 2022 state elections are so crucial. That's the reason why I'm telling people, I don't care what your political party is, vote red. If you want to end the socialist communist push that they're doing, vote red in 2022 and vote that allows the state to get the representatives that they need to allow the push in 2024 to make a red wave. So this is the
But
way
mate,
the game is played. And as it is right now, the Democratic Party is looking at a 68%, if not higher, unfavorable view of
okay.
the majority of Americans.
So you're the American. You're there. I've never left Australia. You have more perspective than I do, right? But if California is the epitome of the blue state,
Right,
Texas has always been the epitome of the red state, right?
right.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
when Texas comes along and says, "Hey, we're going to introduce a law that if the doctor detects a heartbeat, you've got 6 weeks." Now, it was always 3 months. Remember? It was always up at 3 months.
Mhm.
12 weeks you've got to detect. You haven't had your period, whatever. You go, you find out you're pregnant, you fucking get the abortion if
Yeah.
that's what you want to do. When
Yeah.
they halve that, they see this up. The other side sees that as, oh no, look, you're clamping down. You're clamping down. You're squashing it down even further. So I somewhat expect there to be a backlash to that. Now, I know the political
There is.
pendulum's always in motion. It's always swinging some way. And when it goes too far this way, the majority jump on that. But
You know, it's such
me,
a
sorry,
it's such a what you're talking about. The Texas ruling has affected. Right now, Hollywood is absolutely losing their mind,
I bet
and
they fucking.
and it's affecting a lot of people. I went on the different platforms I go on to get news leads, and the left is absolutely losing their mind. It's farthered their agenda down. They include all Christians and all conservatives as the American Taliban. They are manipulating
The
themselves.
American Taliban.
Yeah, they're sitting here with a rainbow flag and lighting the American flag and saying that because of our faith and our conservative viewpoints. Even though I'm a liberal conservative, I get lumped into all of that right away. You know what I mean?
Explain to me what that means to you, a liberal conservative.
What a liberal conservative means is, although I lean towards conservative voting points normally, I also vote the other way on certain issues.
right.
And what they consider, what the hardcore conservatives would consider liberal viewpoints. And they're not really that much of liberal viewpoints. It's just human rights. You know what I mean?
Now, mate, I would have thought a human right, just like if I don't want the vaccine,
Mhm.
I don't run around mocking those that do, but they want to mock me. I would have thought, just me, who's never left Australia, a very unworldly person, I only know what I know, I would have thought that as a liberal conservative, you could agree that if a woman wants to have an abortion, it's her body, it's her right, fucking let her go.
It's one of these things to where if I was gonna, well, right now, I mean, literally, I'm on the platform, so um, it's a sticky one and a hard one, but
It seems
because
to be for Americans. It's not that hard for me. It's her body.
hold
It's
on,
her fucking choice.
Mal. Spiritually, I think it's wrong because I believe there's other options such as adoption and foster care. You know what I mean? However, as an American, it's like the voting point. As an American, I believe that a woman shouldn't be forced to carry their rapist baby. Now, as a Christian, I go against that naturally because there's other options. It's a really tough one for me to be able to answer because
Hey, Bears.
I've always been known publicly to say the only exception was for rapists and incest and all that. It's just only recently that I'm struggling with changing my viewpoint on it. You know what
Now,
I mean?
Mike, you're a very honest person. You say I've had a thought. Now I'm thinking a little
No,
bit. That's what growing is. That's what maturing is.
no,
Doesn't mean you get better. It means you change somewhat. Experience informs your fucking opinion.
Exactly.
Sorry,
Now,
Beers. Well,
Hey, guys, my
um,
opinion on that is I've been through many presidents and Republicans and Democrats.
mhm,
I don't think the abortion rate has went down no matter who's in there.
right.
well, not
okay.
only that, It would be like if you had something in your yard and I'm saying you need to get rid of that. It's none of my fucking business.
I would have thought that was pretty easy to agree with, Beers. Hey, but right now, the guy next door. Here, just give me a
Hey,
minute
Cap.
here, right?
Hey, 78.
Once upon a time, I had a car parked out on my nature strip. Do you guys say nature strip? That's the bit in front of your house that you don't own. It's where you put your bins out. The nature strip is not my property. It's council land.
You guys know we could all admit one thing, though, right? We don't want babies to get killed.
Bingo.
Of course.
Some babies are coming out. Here's my issue with it. Planned Parenthood. The biggest thing about Planned Parenthood to me is it was placed in lower income neighborhoods. It's been proven statistically that if it wasn't placed, African Americans would be the majority of the population in the United States 3 times over already.
I get that.
Did you know that Planned Parenthood also helps you have a child if you want one and you can't?
How is it that they want that, but yet they're allowing sex change operations for
Because
minors? They're allowing abortions for minors. In the state of New York, you could be 14 without a parental consent and get an abortion. That's ridiculous.
I tend to agree, Mike. I tend to agree. If you're 14 years old and find yourself fucking pregnant, I would like to hope that you could go to your mother or father and get some fucking guidance.
in the
We
state
all
of
know
Pennsylvania,
there's plenty of irresponsible parents, people I would never have allowed to have children in the first place. So there's some 14-year-old out there that has no fucking adult guidance. And what the fuck are they meant to do? I mean, you're talking about parents that fuck their children and rape. There's that many fucking idiots that does one size fit all?
in the state of Pennsylvania, the legal age for consent for sex is 16.
Well, that's how it is here, Beers. And I was stunned when I spoke to Americans.
I think
hey, Laura.
It should only be 18. The way I look at it is you're not an adult until you're legally able to move out of your parents' home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Mike, the first time I heard this, what do you mean the legal age to have sex in Australia is 16? I said, didn't you go to high school?
And back in the day,
high school, you fuck each other. I mean, 16 is I've grown up knowing
that's where parenting comes in. Like I was last night, like a lot of this comes down to parents have gotten lazy and letting the school system and the states and the government raise their babies and raise them. We need to get back to parents having accountability for our actions and parents having accountability for raising their kids. You know what? It's our responsibility to monitor what your kids are doing online. It's our responsibility to monitor what our kids are watching. It's our responsibility to monitor what they're being taught at schools. It's not somebody else's responsibility. It's ours.
Let's take a moment.
And that's where the abortion thing comes in also. If you fuck up and get pregnant and you don't have the means to take care of a child and that responsibility's on you, it's no fucking buddy else's business if you abort the child.
Let me just take a minute to thank Laura for being here. Because last time Laura was here, she found herself attacked by my idiot trolls. And she did make the comment she might not be able to come here anymore. So thank you very much, Laura, for not letting idiots deter what you want to do with your time.
Captain, I can agree to that to a point. But like I said, when I started reading into it and found out how many states allow minors to have them without parental consent, that's my problem. Anytime law is being pushed on society, that makes it to where the state has more power than me as a parent over my child, I got a problem with it.
As well you should.
That's where my stance is.
I get it. I do. I get it. You could only hope all parents to be as involved and care as much as you, though, Mike. It's hard to put a one-size-fits-all thing on an issue like that.
Very old-fashioned. Like you asked me what liberal conservative to me means, and that's where the conservative side comes in. Like the old-fashioned side of me is conservative. You get so liberal to believe that some aspects of what, like even Captain says, I actually, like I just said, there's some aspects that he says and other liberals I know that I could agree with, hence the liberal conservative side. But there's some that they say to where I'm going to be like, no dice.
Right. Yeah, see, I just thought you were a hard-nosed liberal, Mike. I get, but see, that's just my assumption. And you know what assumption is, don't you? The mother
Yeah.
of all fuck-ups.
Yeah,
Right.
well,
No, it's it's funny to me, Kat, that so many people, when I went to these streams and I went to different Antifa streams and stuff, and they would debate me and be like, I just feel like if you would let us talk to you, you would agree with us. And I'd be like, I feel like you don't have a clue who the hell I am. You know what I mean? There's no way I'm going to agree to this shit that you stand for. Now, if you were what the original Antifa stood for, what I consider the OG Antifa, by all means. But what I've seen by the leadership and the actions and everything else in the arrest reports,
Yeah, see, now I'm under the assumption that the Antifa and Proud Boys and all that shit, they're all the same fucking thing to me. One's just one side, one's just the other side.
bingo, they're extremists on one side, and they're contributing to the division and the hate that's going on. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Like, you're not going to get anywhere when you're in each other's faces.
well,
Exactly.
I think that's where we're steering things. Is I said the word divisive the other day. I think you say it divisive. Everyone is divided. It doesn't matter what you fucking talk about. Someone disagrees and they hate you for having the opinion you have.
They don't want you to ground. They don't
Yeah,
want middle ground. They want power.
That's
you know
called fascism. You want your say, you don't want me to have mine, and yet
Thank
they
you.
don't.
You said it, not me. Thank you.
Yeah, well, fuck. To think it has to be said that we have dictionaries, folks, don't we? I mean, we can look up what words mean. It's not like I'm a teacher and have to explain things to people.
Right.
You've got your Google. Look up what the fuck Antifa, anti-fascist. You're the most fascist people I've seen since the Third Reich. Are you kidding me? Is it a joke?
No, it's not. They're funded by, to me, they're funded by the globalist bankers that they're claiming that they're against. I'm like, how are you're fighting for their agendas? And yet, here's the funny thing. They wear all these communist leader shirts and sending us, since just a teacher in Sacramento the other day, the hammer and sickle. And yet these people from these countries currently, right now, are saying, we're going to start killing everything from every single faction of gay life, all the way down to center, all the way down to Christians. And they're going to start killing them. And they're wearing their effing shirts.
Unbelievable.
It doesn't fucking make sense.
No, it doesn't.
That's like the whole BLM thing to me. One side says Black Lives Matter, another side says Blue Lives Matter, which means police. And in the end, they all fucking matter. They just want something to argue about, in my opinion.
You would like to think so. To think all lives matter is a disputable fucking comment.
You know what? When people start not mattering, you get results of like what we're getting. You get like even grandmas packing.
Right.
They're like real shifty right now.
Now, if Black Lives Matter went about things differently, I could see where they're coming from.
Me too.
Because I can see where they feel like they've been oppressed for umpteen million years,
and
they want to be heard. But
I can see that.
I will tell you right now publicly that the biggest shift for me on that was last year when me and my wife were reading some scripture. We were watching Stephen Furtick's Bridging the Gap. It was between him and an African-American pastor, right? And it wasn't until seeing the tears in her eyes from a spiritual side and a social side, and that long, hard talk that we had afterwards, that I realized, even though I was raised, because I can't even say raised, I put myself in those neighborhoods, but primarily ghetto neighborhoods. And I went through the stuff I went through. There's a side of it that I'm never going to understand. And that side is the oral tradition side that's passed down. But that oral tradition side really is a tradition of victimhood.
Right.
And you have to get over the victimhood. Because if you really want to be honest, the Irish had racist attacks against them. So did the Italians, the Native Americans, Mexicans, Asians, African Americans, and the list goes on from there. You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, and this is a course of time in history. You have to let it go and get over it. And I know that's a hard thing to say because I can't say that I've gone through a lot of it. But like I said, that's where it's dicey. Like, you can't look at somebody in the eyes. How could we, Mao, look at somebody in the eyes and be like, oh, well, it doesn't matter what somebody you know went through. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what? Really? Mate,
I
you
mean,
remind